The cold, metallic air of the docking bay hummed with tension as Captain Marcus Kane adjusted the worn strap of his ballistic rifle. Its matte black surface was scarred with scratches, each one a silent testament to battles long past. To most in the Galactic Federation, the weapon was an antique, a relic from a time when war was loud and messy. But to Marcus, it was a symbol of humanity's grit, a reminder that victory often belonged to those who could endure the longest, not those with the shiniest toys. Across the bay, alien delegates moved with an air of superiority, their flowing robes and sleek armor glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. The Zalaran delegation stood out among them. Their bioengineered forms a grotesque blend of sinew and metallic plating. Their leader, High Commander Vrylok, towered over his entourage, his glowing amber eyes fixed on Marcus. There was no mistaking the disdain etched into Vrylok's expression. To him, Marcus was an insect, a lesser being clinging to outdated traditions. Marcus didn't care. He had no time for posturing. Earth's sovereignty was on the line, and he would do whatever it took to ensure his people's survival. As he turned away from the Zalaran's piercing gaze, a soft voice broke his focus. "Captain Kane?" He looked down to see Lieutenant Sarah Cole, her face pale but determined. She was young, barely out of the academy, but her sharp mind and unyielding spirit had earned her a place on the team. She clutched a datapad, the holographic display flickering with tactical maps and statistics. "The briefing's ready, sir," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Marcus nodded. "Let's get to it." The team gathered in a dimly lit chamber aboard the Federation's colossal flagship. The room felt oppressive, its walls adorned with alien scripts and holograms showcasing past tournaments. The air buzzed with tension as Marcus took his place at the head of the table. Around him sat 5 others: Cole, the team's strategist; Ramirez, a demolitions expert with a penchant for gallows humor; Singh, a sniper whose quiet demeanor masked a lethal precision; Davis, a medic who had seen more battlefield injuries than she cared to count; and O'Brien, their tech specialist, who seemed perpetually at odds with the Federation's advanced systems. "You all know why we're here," Marcus began, his voice low and firm. "The Zalarans challenged us to the Galactic Tournament. If we lose, Earth becomes a vassal state. They'll strip us of our freedom, our resources, everything we've fought to protect. And if we win?" Ramirez asked, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Do they give us a shiny medal?" "If we win," Marcus said, meeting his gaze, "they'll have no choice but to respect us. We'll prove that humanity belongs in the Federation, on our own terms." Cole tapped her datapad, projecting a holographic map of the tournament arena. It was an ever-shifting labyrinth of alien architecture, dense forests, and barren wastelands. "The first round is tactical combat," she explained. "The Zalarans will deploy their AI-driven drones. We'll be outnumbered and outgunned." "Nothing new there," Singh murmured, her sharp eyes scanning the map. "We'll use that to our advantage," Marcus said. "They'll expect us to fight head-on. We'll hit them where they least expect it." As the team discussed strategies, the weight of their mission pressed heavily on Marcus's shoulders. Each of them had volunteered for this, knowing full well the odds were stacked against them. The Federation saw humanity as a curiosity, a species clinging to outdated weapons and primitive tactics. But Marcus knew the truth. Humanity's strength wasn't in its technology. It was in its adaptability, its ability to thrive in chaos. The briefing concluded, and the team dispersed to prepare. Marcus lingered, staring at the holographic map as doubts crept into his mind. Could they really pull this off? The Zalarans had centuries of experience, technology that made Earth's most advanced weapons look like toys. But as he tightened his grip on his rifle, he reminded himself of one simple fact. The Zalarans had never fought humans before. They didn't understand what it meant to fight with nothing to lose. The tournament's opening ceremony was a spectacle of light and sound, designed to showcase the grandeur of the Galactic Federation. Alien dignitaries filled the massive amphitheater, their voices a cacophony of languages and tones. In the center of the arena stood the human team, dwarfed by the towering figures of the Zalaran warriors. The crowd's disdain was palpable, their whispers of doubt and ridicule cutting through the air like knives. High Commander Vrylock stepped forward, his voice booming. Behold the humans, clinging to their relics of the past. Today, we show them their place in the galaxy. Marcus didn't flinch. He stepped forward, meeting Vrylock's gaze with unwavering resolve. We'll see who's taught a lesson today, he said, his voice calm but laced with defiance. The first round began with a deafening roar as the arena transformed into a dense jungle. Alien drones swarmed from above, their sleek forms bristling with energy weapons. Marcus and his team moved like shadows, their old-world weapons barking with controlled bursts. The jungle came alive with chaos as humans used the terrain to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes that turned the Zalarians' precision into confusion. Despite the overwhelming odds, the team's cohesion and ingenuity began to turn the tide. Singh's sniper shots disabled key drones, while Ramirez's explosives created chaos in the enemy ranks. Davis kept them moving, patching up injuries with practiced efficiency, while O'Brien hacked into the Federation systems to disrupt the Zalarians' communications. As the battle raged, Marcus's mind raced, analyzing every move, every opportunity. He was no stranger to war, but this was different. The eyes of the galaxy were on them, and failure was not an option. With a final, calculated strike, the human team disabled the last of the drones, leaving the arena eerily silent. The crowd's disbelief was almost tangible as the holographic scoreboard declared humanity the victors of the first round. Marcus looked up at the stunned faces of the alien dignitaries and allowed himself a rare, fleeting smile. They had taken the first step, but the road ahead was long and fraught with danger. As the team regrouped, Marcus's thoughts turned to the next challenge. The Zalarians would not underestimate them again. But that was fine. Humanity had never relied on being underestimated. It had always thrived in the face of impossible odds. And as Marcus stared at his team, battered but unbroken, he knew one thing for certain. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove that humanity's strength didn't lie in its weapons or its technology, but in its indomitable spirit. The atmosphere in the human quarters was tense. After their hard-fought victory in the first round, the team had little time to celebrate. They knew the Zalarians would adapt quickly, and the next challenge would be even more punishing. Marcus Kane stood at the center of the room, his rifle leaning against the wall behind him as he studied the holographic map of the upcoming arena. It was a desolate wasteland, littered with jagged rocks and deep craters. A place where cover was scarce, and every movement would be exposed. They'll try to outthink us this time, Cole said, breaking the silence. She was seated at the table, her data pad glowing with data streams. No more drones. This will be hand-to-hand combat. Or worse. Good, Singh said from her corner of the room, cleaning her rifle with methodical precision. I'd rather fight something I can look in the eye. Don't get cocky, Ramirez said, his tone unusually serious. The Zalarians don't play fair. They'll throw everything they have at us. Which is why we'll do the same, Marcus said, his voice cutting through the tension. Cole, I need projections on their likely strategies. O'Brien, see if you can tap into the arena systems. Any advantage, no matter how small, could make the difference. The team nodded, their resolve unshaken. Marcus knew they were exhausted, physically and mentally, but they didn't complain. They couldn't afford to. Earth's fate hung in the balance, and failure wasn't an option. The next morning, the team marched into the arena, their faces set in grim determination. The wasteland stretched out before them, a bleak expanse of gray and black under a crimson sky. Across the field, the Zalarian warriors awaited, their bioengineered bodies gleaming with an otherworldly light. Each of them carried weapons that seemed to pulse with life, as if the technology itself were alive. As the starting signal echoed across the arena, the Zalarians moved with terrifying speed. They surged forward, their formations tight and disciplined. Marcus barked orders, and the human team scattered, using the terrain to their advantage. Singh took a high position on a rocky outcrop, her sniper rifle trained on the enemy's advance. Ramirez and Davis worked together to set up traps, while Cole, and O'Brien stayed close to Marcus, coordinating movements and analyzing enemy patterns. The first clash was brutal. The Zalarans fought with a ferocity that bordered on savage, their strikes precise and devastating. But the humans held their ground, their old-world weapons roaring defiantly against the tide. Singh's rifle cracked like thunder, taking out a Zalaran commander and throwing their ranks into momentary disarray. Ramirez's traps erupted in plumes of fire and shrapnel, forcing the enemy to break formation. Marcus moved like a force of nature, his rifle cutting down enemies with unrelenting precision. Despite their advanced technology, the Zalaran struggled to predict his tactics. He fought not as a soldier bound by protocol, but as a survivor who had faced impossible odds before. And he wasn't alone. His team matched his intensity, their cohesion and adaptability turning the battlefield into a chaotic symphony of resistance. But the Zalarans weren't without their own tricks. Midway through the battle, they unleashed a new weapon, massive, spider-like constructs that towered over the battlefield. Their limbs were sharp as blades, and their bodies bristled with energy cannons. One of them lunged towards Singh's position, forcing her to abandon her perch. Another closed in on Ramirez and Davis, its cannons charging with a menacing hum. "O'Brien, I need options," Marcus shouted over the comms, his voice strained but steady. "Working on it," O'Brien replied, his fingers flying across his portable console. "These things have centralized control nodes. If I can hack into the system, I might be able to shut them down." "Do it fast," Marcus said, firing a burst at an advancing Zalaran. O'Brien's efforts paid off moments later. One of the constructs froze mid-step, its cannons powering down. Encouraged, Marcus ordered the team to focus on buying O'Brien more time. Cole provided covering fire, her precision keeping the Zalarans at bay, while Davis pulled Singh to safety. Ramirez rigged another trap, luring a construct into a minefield that erupted in a blinding explosion. Finally, O'Brien let out a triumphant shout. "Got it? The constructs are offline." The tide turned once more. Without their mechanical behemoths, the Zalarans faltered, their confidence shaken. Marcus seized the opportunity, leading a final push that drove the enemy back. By the time the dust settled, the wasteland was littered with the remnants of battle, both human and alien. The scoreboard declared another human victory, but the team's celebration was muted. They had won, but at a cost. Davis worked tirelessly to tend to the wounded, her hands steady despite the exhaustion etched into her face. Singh's armor was scorched, and Ramirez had taken a blow to the shoulder that left him grimacing with every movement. As they regrouped, Marcus took a moment to look at his team. They were battered, bruised, but unbroken. The Zalarans had thrown everything they had at them, yet humanity had endured. Still, Marcus knew this was only the beginning. The final round loomed ahead, and with it, the greatest challenge they had ever faced. "Rest up," he said, his voice firm but tinged with quiet pride. "We've got one more to go." The team nodded, their resolve unwavering. They had proven that humanity's strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its spirit. And as they prepared for the final confrontation, Marcus couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. They had come this far, against all odds. Maybe, just maybe, they could go all the way. The final arena was a stark contrast to the previous battlegrounds. Instead of barren landscapes or dense structures, the setting was an eerie void, a seemingly endless expanse of floating platforms illuminated by an otherworldly blue glow. The platforms shifted and rotated unpredictably, creating a battlefield that was as much a test of agility and strategy as it was of combat prowess. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the hum of energy resonating through the air. Marcus Kane stood at the edge of one platform, scanning the void for any sign of the Zalarans. His team was spread out across nearby platforms, each member on high alert. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of the moment pressed heavily on all of them. This was the final round, the culmination of their trials, the battle that would determine the fate of humanity. "Stay sharp," Marcus said over the comms, his voice steady despite the tension. "They'll come at us from all sides. Remember the plan and stick to your sectors." "Got it," Singh replied, her sniper rifle at the ready. Just give the word. I've got motion, Cole reported, her voice tight. She was stationed 2 platforms away, her sharp eyes catching a flicker of movement in the distance. South Quadrant. They're here. Without warning, the Zalarans materialized from the shadows, their forms shimmering as they stepped onto the platforms. They moved with an unsettling grace, their bioengineered bodies adapting effortlessly to the shifting terrain. Unlike previous encounters, their expressions were devoid of arrogance. This time, they were all business. The battle erupted with a ferocity that defied description. Energy bolts and ballistic rounds crisscrossed the void, illuminating the platforms in flashes of light. Marcus fired in controlled bursts, his aim unerring as he targeted the Zalarans' weak points. Singh picked off enemies from a distance, her shots precise and devastating. Cole and Ramirez worked in tandem, covering each other as they advanced across the platforms, their movements synchronized like a deadly dance. But the Zalarans had saved their deadliest tactics for this final confrontation. They deployed teleportation technology, blinking between platforms to flank the humans. One moment, Marcus was covering Singh's position. The next, a Zalaran warrior appeared behind him, its blade slicing through the air. Marcus barely dodged in time, countering with a well-placed shot that sent the alien sprawling. They're teleporting, Marcus warned, his breath coming in short bursts. Stay mobile and watch your backs. Working on it, O'Brien said, his portable console clutched tightly in his hands. He was positioned on a central platform, frantically typing as he tried to decipher the Zalarans' teleportation patterns. If I can isolate their frequency, I might be able to disrupt it. Do it fast, Marcus said, his voice tinged with urgency. Another Zalaran lunged at him, and he sidestepped, using the platform's rotation to his advantage. He fired twice, dropping the alien before it could recover. The battle raged on, each moment more chaotic than the last. The platform's movements became more erratic, tilting and spinning as if responding to the intensity of the conflict. Davis, despite her smaller frame, held her ground against a towering Zalaran, using her agility to outmaneuver her opponent. She ducked under a swinging blade and countered with a burst of fire from her rifle, the alien collapsing in a heap. I've got it, O'Brien suddenly shouted, his face alight with triumph. Disrupting their teleportation now, a pulse of energy rippled through the arena, and the Zalarans' teleportation devices sparked violently before going dark. The aliens faltered, their mobility advantage stripped away. Seizing the moment, Marcus rallied his team. Push forward, he commanded. Take them out before they recover. The team advanced with renewed determination. Cole's shotgun roared as she cleared a path, while Singh provided cover from her elevated perch. Ramirez laid down suppressive fire, forcing the Zalarans to retreat. Marcus led the charge, his rifle blazing as he cut through the remaining resistance. As the last Zalaran fell, a deafening silence descended over the arena. The platforms slowed their movements, settling into a steady rhythm. The scoreboard flickered to life, displaying the final outcome, humanity's victory. The team regrouped on a central platform, their faces a mix of exhaustion and relief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had won. We did it, Davis said, her voice barely above a whisper. She sank to her knees, her rifle resting beside her. Damn right we did, Singh said, a rare smile breaking across her face. Marcus looked at his team, pride swelling in his chest. They had proven what humanity was capable of, not just to the Zalarans, but to themselves. They weren't the most advanced species in the galaxy, but they had something far more valuable: resilience, ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit. As the team prepared to leave the arena, Marcus glanced back at the battlefield one last time. The platforms glowed softly in the aftermath, a reminder of the struggle they had endured. He knew the fight for Earth's future was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a spark of hope. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, and nothing would take that away from them. Let's go home, he said, leading his team toward the exit. Together, they walked away from the void, their heads held high. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.